Welcome to Midlife Unlimited, the podcast for women who want more. I'm your host, Kate Porter, the Midlife Metamorphosis Coach, and I'm delighted to be joined today by my episode 77 guest, the wonderful Liz Maughn, to give a taste of our episode that's available now, wherever you get your podcasts. How to find the right mental health support for you in perimenopause and menopause. So, welcome, Liz. It's fabulous to have you here.
Thank you, Kate. Lovely to be here.
Now, we talk a lot on Midlife Unlimited about the physical symptoms, if you want, if that, for want of a better word, of menopause, perimenopause. But you and I have both been through the deeper impact, maybe, of the mental health side of it as well. And that's why we were so keen to do this episode, isn't it? Just to raise the lid, to have the conversation, because we don't talk about it enough, do we?
No, definitely not. As with talking about anything to do with health, people seem to find it a lot easier to talk about physical health as opposed to mental health. And whilst I do believe that that is getting better, people are becoming more open. It's still a bit of an issue, and also a bit sometimes quite challenging to find the right support. So really, the more we can talk about these things, raise the lid on them, as you say, and just sort of get it out there, the better, really. So I'm very happy to be here and to talk about those things this morning a little bit.
No, absolutely. And I say in our full length episode, I say available now, wherever you get your podcast. We do refer to, obviously, there has been quite a bit of research coming out this year.
Yeah,
But we haven't spoken about it specifically because obviously I know you're keen to, research is great, but it's finding the real evidence behind that. But in terms of our own personal experience, we are both quite open about what we've been through. And I mean, I know specifically, obviously, I probably drank my way through a lot of my menopause. I make no secret of that. I'm sober now, but
yeah,
it's those feelings of, am I losing it? Am I going mad? I had a
yeah,
history of depression anyway. Is it
mm,
that rearing its head again? Is this,
yeah.
and I know increasingly I've read reports or news stories about women who have been misdiagnosed as being depressed rather than menopause symptoms.
Yes, definitely. It's something that, when I talk to women about menopause, it's something that, if I dig deep enough, these things come to, people will share things like feeling like like you say, losing it, or even that they might have dementia. And this is
Well,
something that I
yeah.
experienced, really quite scary, really feeling like, this isn't normal. This is so extreme that I must have dementia. So, that's something I've heard quite a bit. That's just one example. And certainly feelings of that might be misconstrued as depression, but then what you hear from the person is that they know it's not depression, particularly if they've had it before, because it feels quite different. And this was my experience as well, knowing that I'd had depression, and this wasn't depression this time. This was different. But it's very easy just to get misdiagnosed because it's quicker. It's easy. You go to the GP. You talk about how you feel. It's quite difficult to actually pin it down as
Mm.
well and be specific. But there's just this knowledge, self knowledge that it's not depression. It's different this time. It feels slightly different, and I think it's a way that you can be fine one minute and then not the next.
Mm.
And if
No.
you've had, a difficult adolescence and issues with periods as well, then it's similar to that. Really, it's very changeable. You can be in floods of tears one minute, and then fine and laughing and thinking, well, what was that all about? And that feels very much like adolescence and puberty as
Yeah.
well.
Well,
So
it's the hormonal rush, isn't it?
it
Absolutely.
is the hormones. It's
Mm.
just sort of, whereas I think with depression, it's this persistent low mood, and it's hard to break out of it. And this is different. It does feel different, but it's trying to get this across really, so that you don't get misdiagnosed and then put on antidepressants which don't work in this
And
situation.
as well, the whole being sidelined. I mean, one thing we do talk about, and I'd like to reiterate it now, is I mean, we talk about the idea of perhaps keeping a diary of how you're
Yes.
feeling and
Yes.
and your mood, things you're saying to yourself, things you're in a critic. I mean, I do a lot of work with not the voices in your head, but the things we tell yourself. You're an idiot, you're stupid, you're this, you're
Yeah.
fat, you're
Yeah.
all these things, you're not good enough,
Yes.
because these all impact. But I said it in our audio and I'll say it again, that when we take the time to actually wait in a queue or go online to make a doctor's appointment, we're not
Yeah.
doing it for fun. We're taking time out of our crazy schedule, whatever that may be,
Yeah.
because we know are normal. And I don't mean, no, everyone's different. We know that. But
Yes.
we all know our own equilibrium, for want of a better word. We
Yeah.
know that something is off kilter, something is not right. We are
Yeah.
taking that. We're not doing it for fun. We're not doing it.
No.
And it may be that, because we talk, about our experience with the actual physicality of perimenopause and heavy periods, etc. And obviously, if you've been bleeding for 6 weeks, that can make you feel like as well. So it's useful to have a gauge of your physical symptoms, and
Yes.
because they can intertwine, can't they? But
Absolutely.
the whole
Yes.
idea
Yeah.
of not being fobbed off. And that's
Yes.
not a diss at you wonderful GPs out there. That's
No,
not, it's
absolutely
not
not.
like that.
No.
And one of the
No.
brilliant ideas you came up with, which it might be a thing, if it is, viewers, if it's a thing already with your GP, we want to hear about it. Almost a checklist.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was
There's
brilliant.
symptom. Yeah, there are symptom checkers for menopause. Lists of the most common and then the less common symptoms, because also we when we talk about menopause, everybody's straight away goes into hot flushes, night sweats,
Brain fog.
brain
Yeah.
fog. But there are many more very sometimes very subtle uh, physical symptoms, nails that break, um, just very little things. And you might just think, well, that's a bit strange, but not actually. And
Mm.
you might just think, well, just take some
Calcium or
tablets
whatever.
for it,
Yeah.
some vitamins or minerals or something. But these might be symptoms of menopause. And when you start to look at the whole picture, which is what this is about, it's about looking at your whole self, not just focusing on those things that we hear people talk about frequently, but the whole picture. That gives a much better presentation then to go to your doctor and say, look, this is what's going on. So here are the physical symptoms. But yes, if you keep a diary as well, to write down, today this is how I felt, and chart those swings in whatever
Mm.
way it works for you, whether it's a series of diagrams with smiley faces that you
Yeah.
tick or whatever, you know, go along with that information. That will really help your GP to get a picture of what's going on, and then looking at that whole picture just makes it a lot, much less easy to fob you off with, oh
No,
well, it's depression or it's whatever.
that's
But
the whole
also it
thing,
means
isn't it?
that,
Yeah.
yeah, it also means that those physical symptoms that may need attention, because sometimes they're serious and
Mm.
they need attention, can be looked at in the whole, as part of the whole picture. We're whole beings.
Mm.
I'm just, I go on about this so much. We're whole beings. What's going on in our head affects the rest of our body and vice
Mm.
versa.
Yeah.
And that's, I just wish that we could look at health much more holistically, because we are whole beings and we have all these interconnected systems that impact on our health, physical and mental health at the same time.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. No, that is so important, not being pigeonholed and not giving up, because we know that something's not right. Now, there is something
Yes.
else as well that we were going to talk about. We planned to talk about in our audio episode, but we were so busy talking about everything else that I was like, no, we'll hold it off and we'll talk
Yeah.
about it in our video
Yes.
podcast now, because it's very timely. Now,
Yes.
let me get this right. From the 6th of April,
Yeah.
new guidelines have come in for
Yes.
businesses, large UK employees, so 250 plus. Menopause action plan. Now, what
Yes.
what is, and I'm presuming it's some kind of, gender or inequality
Yes.
campaign, part of that. What's it all about?
So what this is about, I mean, in some workplaces, I have seen this where when you start a new job, and they give you a form that says and it's not compulsory to fill in, but it's a form that whereby you have the opportunity to say, I have this condition, be it mental health or physical health or
Mm.
whatever, or disability, and if this happens, this is what I'd like you to help me with, or this is how you can help me to stay well. So it's all preventative stuff that in those situations. Now, with the menopause action plans, what this means is if a woman is, I'll say woman, because I'm going with
Yeah.
the largest group of people affected. If the woman knows that she is um, going through it's perimenopausal and the changes happening right at the beginning, you can what you could do is say, actually divulge that and make fill out a form that says these are the issues for me. This is the things that might be helpful to me
Mm.
in the circumstances, and that would need to be kept up to date because things change. And by doing that, it's really sort of trying to raise the cultural awareness of
Yeah.
menopause so that all people, managers particularly, are aware. They know what can be useful or things that you know, might be quite challenging for someone. It might be uniform, for example.
Yeah.
If you're in a workplace where your uniform makes you pour with sweat because maybe it's got full of polyester or something,
Mhm.
raising that as an issue, to see what can be done about that. Is there anything we can do about this situation? It's sort of trying to change things in a positive way
Having the
and making it,
conversation, isn't it? It's
yeah,
putting it out
yes,
there. Yeah.
yes. And there'll be, and saying there are going to be women who are in this situation. So what can we do to help? And then so that's a sort of preventative thing, but also it means that if a woman is really having difficulties in the workplace because of menopausal symptoms, they can actually raise at that point, this is what's happening for me at the moment. What can you do to support me with this? So it could be either at the beginning or, at any point in that person's employment that an action plan is then put in place that is specific to that individual, because that's really important. It's not about saying every menopausal woman must divulge that they are menopausal
Mm.
or perimenopausal. It's about saying, here is an offer. We want to support you and we can talk through with you your individual needs.
Yeah.
And there are lots of things that might lead to.
Because we
Yeah.
both, I mean, just pointing out that this, just checking my notes here, these will become mandatory in 2027 under the Employment
Yes.
Rights Act of 2025. But
Yes.
the thing that I find really good about this is it's A, I say having the conversations,
Yeah.
and B, making it not embarrassing, hopefully
Yes.
that's
Yes.
what it will become. I mean,
Yes.
I've talked before about periods in the workplace and that
Yeah.
kind of thing, and how
Yeah.
when I was in the newsroom I used to like literally hide my tampon up my sleeve to go to,
Hmm.
it was just that
Yeah.
all feeling of shame, for want of a better word.
Yes.
But I know
Yes.
women who, due to menopause symptoms, whether they be physical, mental, a combined
Yeah.
result of that,
Yeah.
have walked away. They've walked away
Yes.
from a
Yes.
corporate job. They've walked because they just, now hopefully this introduction, obviously to start with, it's for employers 250 plus, but there's
Yeah.
nothing stopping smaller businesses thinking,
Yes.
hey up,
Yeah.
sorry, poor, I
Yeah.
don't know why, I
Yeah.
don't know where that came from.
You
Um,
you kind came from Yorkshire.
yeah, I don't know. Apologies to anyone. I don't know where that came from. Um, I'm having a moment. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that a smaller employer doesn't
Yeah.
start thinking, are we serving our people?
Yeah.
Are we giving them options? Are we encouraging them to say how they are feeling
Yeah.
so that we don't actually wake up, come into work one morning and there's an envelope or an email and we've lost one of the most vibrant, amazing,
Yes.
experienced members of our treasured members of our team because we
Yes.
haven't had the conversation and now it's
Yes.
almost too late to,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. The trust is gone, hasn't it? If it's not been, dealt with appropriately. And yes, I totally agree. Why wait? Why not just, if you want to be an employer who attracts people
Mm.
and retains your best people, why not do this now? There's nothing to stop you putting this in place. I would say, particularly if your workplace is majority of women,
Mm.
you are going to have women, and don't try and think, well, what age are the women we employ? Because the reality is perimenopause can start at any time.
As you said, your
So
journey's been almost 15 years worth,
yeah,
isn't it? I
mine's been
mean,
going on and on. I mean,
yeah.
people must think, for goodness sake, because she's still not through that yet. But I'm not. So, you know, um, don't sort of try and second guess. Just assume that at some point there are going to be women in your workforce who will need this support and will need you to have thought about this. So don't wait. Just make a start on this.
Mm.
I mean, I had the pleasure of delivering some training recently to a brilliant organisation who is just, they've got it.
Really?
I was asked
Are
to
they
do the training.
British?
They are British.
Yeah.
They're also
Mm.
in other countries as well. And, I was delighted because,
Yeah.
me going in to do the training was like the second, the sort of the last bit of the jigsaw. They'd got everything in place. They weren't waiting for the law to change. There's no need to wait for that. I think when they bring in these mandatory things, what they're trying to say is this is a good idea.
Mhm.
So don't wait till, you're a
Yeah,
month
don't be
before.
reactive. Yeah.
Yeah, put this in place now. It will benefit you. I can guarantee it will benefit you. I mean, the sort of messages I was getting from this session were just so positive. There were men there. There were two male managers who were, they didn't blink. We talked about all sorts of things. No, they didn't blink. They just, they're used to dealing with these situations. They felt confident dealing with these
Mm.
situations. And that's where we need to get to, because this isn't just about women. It's about the male managers who will need to deal with these things. So, let's make a start on this now. It's, when we see the statistics of women leaving jobs, we can see there's an issue here. So let's
It
get on
is
with
just
this.
literally, I mean, it started, this fabulous ball has started rolling, and this
It has,
cultural
yeah,
shift of
yeah,
all women's issues, women's, time of the month, the curse of this whispered behind the, by the water cooler or whatever.
yeah.
But that's not, that's not helping. And that's just wasting opportunities, isn't it? It's
It
wait.
is. It is.
No,
Yeah. It's definitely a step in the right place. This is, this. It's not the be all and end all. Don't get me wrong, but
no,
it's a
no, no.
start. It's a recognition now that this is something that needs to be done, and that's great. That's really good news. It's so I'm really really pleased to
No.
in any way I can be a part of that because it's how it should be.
No, absolutely. Well, so obviously all your contact details are in the show notes for our episode, and you have your guest profile on the Midlife Unlimited podcast website. But for viewers who think, yeah, I need to speak to Liz now, how can they get in touch with you?
So easiest way is to contact me via LinkedIn, and I have a unique name, so you can just put in Liz Maughn in the search, and you'll find me. My website is www.empowermht.co.uk. So that's the other easy way to get in touch with me.
Fantastic. And I say, come and connect with me. We'd love a review as well of our audio episodes
Yeah,
or our YouTube episode here. So drop a comment in the link, subscribe, follow, come and connect with me. All my contact details are in the show notes and on the website, where you'll also find details of how you can work with me with my midlife metamorphosis coaching, either one-to-one or come and join more, my all-in-one group program. So, Liz, this has been brilliant. And this is the first time we were using StreamYard before. We're now doing it on Zoom. So it's a bit of a different one. But thank you so much for bearing with me on this.
it's a
Thank you for
pleasure.
watching. Don't forget, Midlife Unlimited has a new audio episode every Thursday, available wherever you listen to your podcasts. So here's to being fabulous, flourishing together, and living Midlife Unlimited. Thanks ever so much.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.